I swear on everything that matters to me. The exact moment the TSA agent lifted that small orange prescription bottle out of my dad's carry-on, the entire security line went completely silent, except for one shrill voice behind us that screeched, "Excuse me, that man just confessed to carrying explosives." My father, 68 years old, a 3-time heart attack survivor who literally carries nitroglycerin tablets, so he doesn't die, turned bright red as a woman in a neon yoga set whipped out her phone and started recording, yelling, "I'm reporting this immediately. That's liquid nitro. That's a bomb." Dad tried to explain in his calm, Gujarati accented English, "Madam, this is heart medicine. Doctor, give me." She cut him off instantly, screaming for a supervisor and announcing to everyone nearby that we were suspicious foreigners traveling with chemicals. My blood started boiling as people physically stepped back from us like we were terrorists. In under 30 seconds, 3 armed TSA officers surrounded us. My mom began crying, gripping my dad's arm because stress can literally trigger his angina. Meanwhile, the Karen stood there smirking into her live stream saying, "Finally, someone's doing something about people skipping the rules." The supervisor scanned the bottle, checked my dad's 12-year-old pacemaker card, and his expression changed immediately. He radioed for a medical lane escort, then turned directly to Karen and said, "Ma'am, you've just made a false explosives report. Step over here for secondary screening." Her face flipped from victorious to terrified in half a second, while me, my mom, and my still shaking dad were escorted into a private medical family lane, rushed through with apologies, and even offered a chair for him. Karen got dragged aside for full random pat-down she'd been hoping would happen to us. As we walked away toward our gate, I glanced back just in time to see a female agent tell Karen to spread her legs wider while another officer began unpacking her bag. And I swear the scream she let out when they pulled out her own massive, undeclared bottle of essential oils echoed across the terminal. But that was only the start. Because 40 minutes later, when we boarded the plane, guess who was seated directly in front of us? And guess whose medical emergency suddenly required my supposedly dying father to be moved away from her? We had barely settled into seats 24A, 24B, and 24C. The airline had quietly upgraded us to Comfort Plus after the TSA supervisor felt so bad. When the gate agent walked down the aisle holding new boarding passes and announced loudly, "We need the family in rows 24A through C to move to 12A through C for medical reasons." I thought, great, even better seats. Then I saw who was already buckled into 23F, smirking like she'd won the lottery. Same neon yoga Karen, same smug expression, now pretending to be distressed. She clutched her chest and told the flight attendant, "I'm having a panic attack. That man behind me has heart problems, and it's triggering my anxiety disorder. I need him moved immediately." The flight attendant, a sweet black woman who was clearly out of patience, looked at my dad calmly fastening his seatbelt, then back at Karen and said, "Ma'am, the gentleman has a documented cardiac condition. You do not. The only open seats are in row 12. You're welcome to take them." Karen's eyes went wide. "You're kicking me out of my paid seat because of them?" The attendant smiled like a shark. "No, ma'am. We're upgrading a disabled passenger and his caregivers. You can stay there or move forward. Your choice." Karen chose to stay, muttering loudly enough for the entire cabin to hear that she was being discriminated against by foreigners. Half the plane was glaring at her now. Takeoff was smooth, but about 20 minutes into flight, the real chaos began. My dad's wrist blood pressure monitor beeped softly, completely normal for him. Karen whipped around like she'd heard a gunshot. "That's a timer. He's got a bomb on his wrist." I knew it. She actually unbuckled, stood up in the aisle mid-flight, and started screaming for an air marshal. People pulled out their phones. My mom started crying again. I was ready to lose it. 2 flight attendants and the purser rushed over as Karen pointed at my dad's wrist like it was a grenade. "Look, it's beeping. He's going to blow up the plane." The purser took one look at the medical device, then at my dad's VA disability card, and his face turned ice cold. He looked straight at Karen and said, "Ma'am, that is a VA-issued heart monitor. You have just falsely reported an explosive device on a federal aircraft. When we land, The FBI will be speaking with you. Karen went completely white. She tried pulling the "do you know who I am" routine. No one cared. Then the purser delivered the final blow. Until landing, federal regulations require anyone who makes a bomb threat to be restrained if necessary. Would you prefer flex cuffs now? Or when we're over Nebraska? She started hyperventilating for Real, and that's where it got even worse. Meanwhile, Dad's sweet, quiet dad who never raises his voice, leaned forward and said in the most polite tone, "Ma'am, these tablets you call explosives save my life every day. Maybe next time, ask before you try to kill someone with kindness." The whole cabin erupted. Someone actually applauded. Karen was shuffled to back row, wedged between two off-duty Marines who spent the rest of the flight staring at her like she was prey. She didn't utter a peep for 4 hours. But landing in Phoenix didn't end it. Once the seatbelt sign clicked off, the pilot himself emerged from the cockpit, walked straight to Dad, shook his hand, and said, "Sir, on behalf of Delta Airlines, thank you for your service, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that." Then he turned to Karen, still pinned in the back. "Ma'am, the FBI is waiting at the gate. Have a nice day." I thought that was the final chapter. It wasn't. 3 days later, our doorbell camera caught neon yoga Karen on our porch, now in a blazer 2 sizes too tight, hair sprayed into a helmet, holding a manila folder, standing next to a sweaty lawyer constantly checking his phone. The ring alert pinged at exactly 7:03 p.m. I hit the speaker. "Can I help you?" She leaned in like she was on live news. "This is Cynthia Harrington. I'm serving your family for emotional distress, defamation, and anti-American discrimination. You have 20 days to respond, or I'll see you in court." Dad walked up behind me, saw her face, and laughed. Actually laughed for the first time in months. Pressing the talk button, he said, "Ma'am, you are on private property. Leave now or I call Phoenix PD for trespassing." Cynthia screamed she had rights, but her lawyer grabbed her elbow and literally dragged her back to their Kia Sedona. That should have been the end. It wasn't. The next morning, my phone exploded with 47,000 notifications. Someone had stitched together airport, plane, and ring footage into a 9-minute viral masterpiece. Nitroglycerin Nana versus actual terrorist Karen. Overnight, it racked up 4 million views. Top comment: plot twist, the old man fought in Desert Storm. Karen fought in the comments. Internet detectives dug up Dad's service record. Vietnam-era Army medic, Bronze Star, 3 heart attacks from Agent Orange exposure. That VA card the purser saw, not just medical, it was veteran disability. Meanwhile, the web sleuths exposed Cynthia Marie Harrington, 54, 3-time suspended realtor, former HOA president, banned for life from Delta after the FBI interview, and starred a GoFundMe titled "Help Me Sue Terrorist Family" that raised $11 from her own mom. By noon, local news was outside our house, but they wanted Cynthia, who had barricaded herself inside her gated community screaming at drones. The reporter asked Dad if he planned to sue. He just smiled, held up his little orange bottle, and said, "These pills keep my heart beating. They beat hate, too. That's enough for me." Then came the twist nobody expected. Delta's legal team called. Cynthia was banned for life, but Dad, Mom, and I were upgraded to lifetime global services status. Free first-class companion tickets forever. They even named the new cardiac family assistance lane at Sky Harbor after him. Captain Patel Medical Family Pass. And the part that broke the internet? They sent Cynthia a certified letter, filmed live by neighbors, containing 1 free emotional support animal carrier and a year's supply of nitroglycerin tablets with a note. "Dear Miss Harrington, in case you ever have an actual heart." Her GoFundMe vanished, her house went on sale, and the HOA finally voted her out for good. Dad still flies twice a year to visit his cardiologist in Houston, greeted by name every time. Each flight, he glances at the empty seat next to him and says the same thing. Some explosions save lives, others just make noise. If you love this story, subscribe and hit the bell. You won't want to miss the next wild HOA saga where justice gets even sweeter.